What's up guys, I'm starting a new video series called How to Catch Any Fish in 5 minutes or less, and the goal of this series is to do just that. I want to explain to the beginner fisherman how to catch the specific fish I'm talking about in under 5 minutes. Now I know what you're going to say, Nick, this video is over 5 minutes, you already are lying to us. Well, I have to do an intro and outro and wanted to do a brief description of what this new series is about, so that's why. Now I'm going to be doing this for both inshore species and offshore species since I do a little bit of both. But if there are any specific fish that you guys want to see sooner rather than later, especially with fall fishing coming up, make sure to let me know down in the comments below so I can focus on those ones sooner rather than later. Now all of these videos are going to be formatted exactly the same way. I'm going to break it down into 5 different parts. First is going to be gear. Second is going to be the best live or cut bait. Third is going to be the best artificial bait. Fourth is going to be where to find these fish, and fifth is going to be tips and tactics once you actually are in the thick of them. All right, so first things first, gear. For redfish, you're going to be able to get by with any light inshore tackle setup. For the reel, any 2,000 to 3,500 size class reel will be plenty big enough. You're able to pack a lot of line on it, and it's got plenty enough drag for even the biggest redfish. Now spooled on that reel, I've got 10-pound braid, and this specific reel, this is a Penn Battle 2000. I can get over 160 yards worth of 10-pound braid on it, which is plenty enough. Okay, and as far as rod goes, you can't go wrong with a 7 to 7'6", medium to medium heavy power with a very fast action tip. So this is a TFO Professional, really great affordable rod, but you really want to pay attention to the information that is right here. So it's got a 6 to 12 pound line rating, which this says 10 pounds, which is great. And then here it says 1/4 to 3/4 ounce lure. And of course it's fast action. The information on the rod is going to tell you what line weight is appropriate for the rod and also what lure weight is appropriate. Now, as far as live bait goes, obviously shrimp is going to be the #1 choice. A live shrimp rigged Carolina style or rigged on a popping cork is going to be excellent for redfish. And if you also have the ability to find mud minnows, especially in the fall and winter, that's another great option for redfish. Now, if you don't have access to live shrimp, cut bait is also another great alternative. What I really prefer is if you are able to catch a ladyfish while you're fishing inshore, throw it on ice, cut it into 2 to 3 inch chunks, throw it on a circle hook out the side of the boat near where you would normally be fishing for redfish, and I'm sure you're going to get some bites on that. Now, as far as artificial baits go, you really can't go wrong with one of the 3 following options. The tried and true paddle tail is going to work really in any situation. This is a 5-inch Slam Shady Bomber. However, anything from 3 to 5 inches, Z-Man makes some great ones, DOA, Salt Strong, any of those options work well. What's nice about it is you just cast it out and reel it in, so it's super easy for anyone to use. Secondly, you always want to have some sort of artificial shrimp lure in your tackle box. This is a Power Prawn Junior by Salt Strong in their natural color. However, Gulp Shrimp works great. Voodoo Shrimp, DOA Shrimp, those are also great alternatives. Now, last but certainly not least is none other than the Gold Spoon. These come in a variety of different colors and options. However, I like the Aqua Dream or the Johnson Gold Spoon. Those are 2 ones that are proven to work, and they've worked personally for me. What's good about the Gold Spoon is very easy to use. You cast it out and you reel it in. Redfish, for whatever reason, cannot resist those either because of the flash that it gives off, and a lot of times they come rigged weedless, meaning you can really fish them close to structure where the redfish like to hide. And in that we were talking about where redfish like to hide, let's move into where to find redfish. Redfish are very shallow fish, and I don't mean that they care about looks. They care about hunting and swimming in very shallow water. 3 foot or less is where I've been most productive around structure and current flow. So creek mouths with oysters and rocks, or just grass flats that have access to structure is a great place to look for them. One rule of thumb I like to use is during high tide, I will try and fish as close to the shoreline as possible. And as the tide comes out, I'll move out a little bit from the shoreline, finding those pieces of structure. Grass flats can also be very productive, especially if there are no oysters or rocks around. Look for the parts of the grass, what we call potholes, which is just sand in the middle of a bunch of grass. Okay, lastly, we're going to talk about the tactics of how to actually catch them once you've found a productive spot. In addition to the structure, I'm looking for either jumping mullet or wading birds. Jumping mullet is a good indication that there's predator fish in the area, and a lot of times redfish like to hang out with the mullet schools. Wading birds is a good sign that there's bait in the area as well. So if you can find those two things, you have a very good chance of finding the redfish. I always like to start out with the paddletail because it's just a good way to try and find patterns. Now, once you start getting bites, which you inevitably will because you're fishing in the right area, it's gonna feel like a significant thump. Once you feel that thump, make sure you set the hook. You don't have to do a Bill Dance hook set. Just a nice, easy hook set like that. That's all you need. If you have sharp hooks, it's gonna be able to penetrate that redfish's mouth, no problem. Make sure you set your drag before you go fishing. You don't want it to be so hard that you can't pull it out with your hand. But you also don't want it to be so loose that the fish is just pulling your line for days and days. There's a good balance. Once you're hooked up to a redfish, you don't have to horse them in. They're very hardy, and if the fish decides to run, let the drag do its thing. It's there on your reel for a purpose. If you're fishing that live or cut bait, make sure you rig up a circle hook. That way the fish will hook itself when it picks up that bait. You don't have to set the hook when you're fishing a circle hook, but same principle applies. If the fish decides to run, let the drag do its work. Eventually you will tire the fish out. So I hope you guys did find that video helpful. If you did, let me know down below or give this video a thumbs up. I would really appreciate it. All of the gear that I referenced in today's video will be down in the description below. That way, if you wanted a quick way to pick any of those items up, you certainly can. Let me know down below if you guys have any additional tips or tricks that you would like the community to know. And as always, until the next time, I hope you guys are able to get out on the water and catch some fish.